Hello guys, I know in my last video I promised that I was going to continue on with my series of underrated cinema, and things have not been going exactly as planned. My scheduling has been pretty tight to the point where every time whenever I get home, I usually get very tired of such, so it gives me a lack of time to read. Also, to be honest, I do get a little lazy a lot of the time as well, and I do apologize for that. I am going to try to keep. I'm doing whatever I can to be as consistent as I can with when I do my reviews of videos and such. But like I said, this whole YouTube thing is very new to me. Yeah, and I'm just so it's going to take some time for me to really get the hang of it and such. So anyway, once again, I do apologize. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you there.
Wow, that was actually kind of good.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is a perfect example of what I like to consider a course correction. As someone who wasn't a huge fan of the original movie, I was definitely looking forward to this one. Granted, I was a bit cautious, but I was immediately looking forward to it. Especially after seeing the trailers and the TV spots, it just looks like more of what I wanted to see from that first movie. Especially with the reveal of the Master Emerald, and of course the introduction of Tails and Knuckles. And yet after a while, I finally got what I have. To make this perfectly clear, I don't hate that first movie. It's just that it's one of those movies that I have a hard time going back to due to how overly generic and cliche it is with its story and messaging of such. Don't get me wrong, there are things to like about that movie. Sonic himself is one of the huge standouts for me. I actually do like this portrayal despite how sappy and very generic it ended up becoming. And Jim Carrey was without a doubt the standout performance, but everything else was just bland and uninteresting. I didn't care much for the human characters, and it just didn't feel like a Sonic movie. Despite the fact how much I actually gave the movie props for at least making Sonic the center of attention in his own movie and not relegate him to the sideline in favor of whatever humans he's bonding with. So yeah, I was looking forward to this, and then after seeing this, my God, this was definitely the movie. This was definitely the movie that I wanted to see. I know I said it, but I just can't. But this is definitely what I wanted from the first movie to begin with. Let me start off with some of the positives. One of my favorite things about this movie is the fact that they actually spend more time on the lore of the games, especially with the introduction of the Master Emerald of such and everything. And I like how, minor spoilers, was how it was linked to the Chaos Emeralds, which I don't think was ever established from the games. Which actually brings me to what is probably my favorite part about this movie, and that is the fact that the Sonic characters are front and centered. Now, as I mentioned before, one of the praises that I gave the first Sonic movie was the fact that Sonic himself was the lead character in his own movie. But I'm sure there was a speculation that the introduction of Tails and Knuckles would probably be reduced to the sidelines in favor of the. And let's be real here. I mean, this is Paramount we're talking about. The same company that gave us these abominations. Thankfully, we actually got a good one. So the fact that they actually put emphasis on the Sonic characters, more on the generic humans, was actually a treat to me, and it was definitely one of the best parts for me of the entire movie, if not the best. The whole human storyline was more tossed on the side, and it does lead me into some of my major issues I have with the film as a whole, which I'll definitely get to very soon. All the voice acting in this movie is top notch. Ben Schwartz once again completely nails it as Sonic. I don't know if I would say he's my favorite voice for Sonic, but he is definitely one of the best voice portrayals I've ever seen Sonic ever done. I really love the kid-like, teenage-like way he delivers it. It's probably I will probably say that this movie Sonic is probably one of, if not my favorite interpretations of Sonic, because what I like about this one, this is something that I've gave credit to the first movie, was that it managed to keep out the same old cockiness that we all know and love from past media, but also give us a little bit of vulnerability, give us a bit of a human side to him, show that he's not all perfect and stuff like that. I'm not saying that Sonic in the games was all perfect, but he always comes out with this cocky, no nonsense attitude, and I like that he's, like I said, he still has that, but it's a bit toned down, and there is a bit more of a vulnerability, and that's what I really like, and I think the way it was handled here was just spot on. Colleen O'Shaughnessy is great as Tails, and I'm just gonna say this right now. I absolutely applaud Paramount for sticking to their guns and keeping her around. I was nervous, like when I heard like during the makings of the sequel of this one, there was talks that that she may not return, and that it was going to be Tom Holland doing the voice for Tails. And I don't want to say that I don't think Tom Holland does a bad job. It's just that I just feel like this is just one of those cases where you're just casting him just because he's a big name, and honestly, that annoys me, because that last bit of her as Tails in the end of the first movie was fine. I mean, why would you want to change just because you have a big name celebrity in the role? And that was what really worries me about it, was that they were gonna remove her, and I was kind of. So when I learned that she's returning, I was like, yes, like thank God that they decided to stick to their guns with this, So Paramount, whoever, I thank you. You stick to your guns, and I'm grateful for that. Yeah, but as for Tails, like I said, Colleen O'Shaughnessy does a great job. I really like that they develop the brotherly relationship between him and Sonic, where he like kind of like how it was in the games, where he plays the little brother who looks up to him, and I thought they played it really well here. Now the only problem for Tails is that of the main trio, he kind of gets the short end of the stick here. He there was a point where he was pretty much absent throughout a lot of the movie, and he only shows up near the third act in the end, and then and he pretty much shows up in the film's final climax, pretty much, and that's kind of unfortunate, because his role was kind of more in line of Sonic's story rather than his own character. And again, because I mean, like I said, he is part of the main trio, Team Sonic, and there wasn't much development with him. Now there is probably a potential to do more with him in the next movie. Maybe they might do the adventure storyline where he is where due to him always looking up to Sonic, doing that, and then he's finally learned to come on his own. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just speculating of what might happen with Tails going forward. But overall, I really do like Tails. I think he's great. He's one of the best things about it, even though, again, he kind of gets the short end of the stick here. Now, the standout here is Knuckles, portrayed by Idris Elba, who, granted, Idris Elba is a big name actor, but obviously he was probably one of the only choices that they could think of. I mean, there was talks about Jason Momoa or Dwayne Johnson doing it, but they just stick with Idris, and I'm gonna be honest. As much as I like these guys, I don't think they could pull it off as much as he did. He very much steals the show for me, through and through. He like the way he delivers the lines. The more self-seriousness, which I hear was very lacking in the more recent era of the games, the meta era of Sonic. He really does deliver on the more tough guy, the more self-serious side to him. It's it's a deep joy to watch. I am definitely looking forward to the Knuckles spin-off series that they announced just based on this performance. I really do love Knuckles in this. He is without doubt my favorite thing about this movie. Yeah, everyone else does a good job. Jim Carrey, I mean, what can I say? He really just nails the role very well. I love how more insane he got throughout this movie. I love the fact that he brings more of that psychoness to the point where where it's like where it comes off more threatening. I would say it's a bit more cartoonish compared to how it was, but honestly, that's fine with me. I just love the over the topness he really brings into Eggman in this. He is really having the time of his life, and it's unfortunate that this probably may be his last role, as rumors stated that he's going to retire. I don't know how I feel about this personally. I mean, everybody has to retire, but if he doesn't show up, I do not know how I feel, because he is one of the defining moments of this current franchise going forward, and it's gonna be a pain. It's gonna be tough to know how it is if he doesn't return. That's the best way I could describe. I would say that this movie kind of makes me grow on James Marsden and Tika Sumpter's characters a bit in this one. As I mentioned before, I just didn't really care for them in the first movie. They were just bland. Very bland and generic. They weren't all that interesting to me. This movie, I guess, because since we get to know them in the first movie, they kind of grew on me more. And I guess I kind of like the idea of them treating Sonic as their kid, in a sense. I mean, not to spoil it, but there are moments where they do truly see themselves as adopted parents to Sonic, and I thought that was, I guess, a nice touch. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's odd. It's unique, I guess I could call it. I don't know if that's the best word to describe it. Interesting, yeah. I'm just saying that it's kind of an interesting take, I guess, the way they do it, in terms of, but yeah, it's nice. Now, unfortunately, this brings me to my least favorite part about this movie, and that is the wedding subplot. Now, as I mentioned before, I like the fact that their storyline is more tossed aside for the more Sonic side of things. I like that as more of the background and rather than a focal point, because it only cuts to them like about 2 scenes, while we get back to the really main storyline. But however, there was a point in the movie where after that scene where which was shown in the trailers and in a clip, of course, in a clip of the movie, where Sonic was being dropped to Hawaii by the rings. The movie basically just stops for me. Like there was a point where Sonic and pretty much most of the main humans and pretty much most of the major characters, they basically take a detour, like a back seat in favor of the bride thing. And then now, as many of you know, if you watch my final trailer reaction of the movie, you will know that I was not a huge fan of the character of Rachel, portrayed by Natasha Rothwell in the first movie, as she just feels like a character who just feels like they belong in some sort of rom-com, but was just shoehorned into this movie. And what bothers me about this movie was that they basically expanded her role. Like, there was a point where where it just feels like I'm watching a useless filler of Dragon Ball Z or something, where basically it just becomes all about her. Like, everybody else just gets tossed aside, and then it's about her and then the fiance, because there was not to spoil it, there was a huge twist with him, and then and I remember I'm like saying to myself, like we just went on a detour, like really, like the movie just stops altogether, just to focus on that bit, and it really took me out of the movie altogether. Like that is by far my least favorite thing about this movie right off the bat. Like they just stop, and it just takes too long. I'm just waiting for it to just get resolved and shit like that. Now, on its own, it's kind of funny. It's like on its own, it's funny without thinking about everything else. But really, it just takes a deep dive, and it just loses me entirely. Now, if there is actually one positive I could say about this, is the fact that at least they kind of gave her a bit more to do, because one of the problems I had with the first one was that she just comes off as as just an annoying waste of time. All she does is just complain about how how she doesn't like the husband that her her sister's husband, blah blah, this and that. That just has nothing to do with anything. And then at least she kind of gets a little bit more to do here, even though, again, that scene with her and the fiance thing just lasted just way too long. And then that pretty much took me out of it. There is also another scene that people talk about that was a weak link that doesn't really bother me, and that was the bar scene where there was a scene where both Sonic and Tails were in the bar, and then and there was a point where they have to do a dance off to get a paper after they were discovered. And I'm gonna be honest, that didn't bother me so much. Yes, I will admit it did last a bit long, but at least it was able to give room for the development between Sonic and Tails, so it didn't bother me that much. And this scene was obviously a retread of the was basically this movie's version of the bar from the first movie, and which is saying something, because I really didn't like the whole bar scene. And I know everybody's gonna get offended by it, but that's just me. I thought it just adds on that genericness of how I felt about that movie. But I do like the scene, like I said, because it just develops the relationship between Sonic and Tails. So that's why I wasn't too bothered by it in the same way as I was with the wedding stuff. But I will say this though, as much as I did not like that bit with the wedding, everything after that completely made it up for me. That final act, I mean, so far there's about two I would say two scenes or whatever scenes you have, like there's so much near the end of the movie that it just feels like, wow, like these people, they really love Sonic, like they really love this character and the world he lives in. Like, this is made by those who truly love Sonic. And I remember those bits, those Easter eggs that they did. Oh man, it just feels like this is the games coming to life for the first time. Like this truly feels like this is like the games that you play on like the games that you've been playing, a lot. Like this movie brings that to life for you. Like this is translated spectacularly well in this movie, and is by far probably the best action sequence in the movie, because one of my favorite things about the first movie was the third act, because third act of that movie was the only time where it truly felt like the games have finally come to life. They brought that up to 11 in this movie, and I just could not get enough of it. Oh my goodness, it's so astounding. I really love it. Oh, it's great. It's amazing. If you love the game, if you love Sonic, this is a delight. They just really did a fantastic job on this. My God, they really. Okay, yeah, they really did a good job here. Yeah, so I don't know where else is there to say. Is that I love this movie. I'm just gonna say right now, I absolutely just love this movie. In terms of movies based on video games, I don't, because as we all know, the bar for adapting video games to movies has always been very low. Like we have seen so many of these poor attempts of translating these classic games to the screen, and they always fell through. This has got to be one of the best video game movies I have seen in years. Like, my God, like, it's amazing. I do not know if I would say it is my favorite video game movie of all time. But it's close. Like, I will probably say this beats Detective Pikachu as my number 2 in terms of the video game adapted film landscape. Like this is probably my second favorite video game movie ever made, with Mortal Kombat being the best one. Like they really like yeah, like Sonic 2. I don't know. I'm kind of speechless when I say this. But yeah, this is probably like I will say, as of right now, this is probably my second favorite video game movie ever made. It may surpass it. It may be, as time goes on, who knows. But yeah, I love this movie. I'm tempted. I'll probably say I'm quite tempted to see it again, just by talking about it. Yeah, but if you love Sonic, if you love, like I would say this is very much classic Sonic stuff more than the modern stuff, more than like if you love Sonic, and there's a lot of the more early to mid 2000 stuff, but seriously, if you just love Sonic, if you love playing Sonic, this is the movie for you. Like this is also a very good children's movie. I think parents could easily take their children into seeing this. It is quite amazing of how far we have come from that initial trailer of the first movie back in 2019 with that initial design, where it looks like another one of these Hollywood attempts of adapting a property that doesn't understand the source of it all, which eventually lead us to what is probably the best movie franchise to be based on a video game. That is actually quite saying a hell of a lot, considering that this is based on a franchise that has been inconsistent with itself throughout the past decade or so. The success of the first two Sonic movies kind of remind me of the golden age of the Blue Blur back in the early 90s, where he was the hottest thing around at the time. Hell, even more so than the likes of Mickey Mouse, from what I heard. It's also a very rare case to have a sequel of a movie based on a video game to surpass the original in terms of its quality and, from what it looks like, the box office as well. Now, I haven't seen it before. I am quite hesitant to, but the sequel to the original 1995 Mortal Kombat Annihilation was without a doubt regarded as one of the worst, if not the absolute worst, of the video game adaptations to film. Alright, I realize that this is going on too long than I anticipated. Overall, I absolutely love this movie. It's the Sonic movie I've been waiting for since 2020, and by God, was it worth the 2-year wait. I am definitely looking forward to the sequel, as well as the aforementioned upcoming Knuckles spin-off series. This is a great example of a movie that was made by fans for the fans.